I have the Pirates ranked 24th. Fangraphs has them ranked 25th, so we're kind of in agreement there. The goals for this year is to be in the wild card race. Try to force yourself to be in that race late in the year, in September. They were really solid in the first month of the year a year ago and kind of fell apart after that. Key additions, they brought in Domingo Germán, who's a minor league contract. I also don't like the guy. Michael A. Taylor, who's a solid defender out there, defensive replacement type of guy. Yasmani Grandal, who used to be one of the better catchers in baseball. Chapman, Aroldis Chapman, solid reliever. Willie Peralta, didn't even know he was still in the league. You brought in Rowdy Tellez, who's been good before. You bring back Andrew McCutchen. And you also bring in Martin Perez, who was a former All-Star in Texas. Other additions, Marco Gonzalez. You got him from the Braves, but also he never really was for the Braves because he got traded a day after he got traded there, but after he was there. Also, you brought in Edward Olivares, who was really solid with the Royals a year ago, and I think he could be pretty solid. You lost nobody too crazy. You lost like nobody, to be honest. You also extended Mitch Keller. Speaking of the rotation, Mitch Keller, very, very good starting pitcher, finally put everything together a year ago and was really solid. He's got the sweeper now. 4.21 ERA, 105 ERA plus. Not elite, but his FIP was 3.8, which means he could be a Cy Young contender someday in the next, maybe even next year. He's going to be 28. And I would project him to be pretty solid. I don't think he would surprise anybody if he was a Cy Young contender. I have Martin Perez, a former All-Star, who I think is about an average pitcher. Marco Gonzalez, about an average pitcher. Luis L. Ortiz, apparently. Again, the rotation doesn't look elite. The rotation doesn't look bad either. I think the rotation's okay. You also have a guy named Jared Jones, and Paul Skeens, I think, will be up by August at the latest. Paul Skeens is an elite pitcher, just was drafted a year ago. If this Pirates team is competing for a wild card spot, which I believe they will, or at least be close to it come September, Paul Skeens can be up in the big leagues by then, especially when you don't really have a lot of amazing pitchers. The bullpen actually looks really good. David Bednar's a very good closer. Aroldis Chapman's going to come in and be who he is. Roansy Contreras struggled a year ago. He can jump into the rotation if there's an injury, but right now he's slotted to be in the bullpen, which is interesting to say the least. At catcher, they have Henry Davis getting every day at bats at catcher. I think he actually isn't bad. I think it's actually not a bad idea. You also have Andy Rodriguez, who's injured. Yasmani Grandal is a backup, can teach him how to be a catcher. Grandal was one of the top catchers in baseball 4 or 5 years ago. I think Henry Davis is pretty good. At first base, you got Rowdy Tellez looking to bounce back. You have Connor Joe potentially being like a platoon bat there. I think Rowdy Tellez is looking to bounce back, get back to where he was a few years ago with the Brewers. I don't know that he'll surprise people if he bounces back. At second base, you got Liover Peguero, potentially with Ji-hwan Bae, who can also play in the outfield. Ji-hwan Bae is a contact bat. Liover Peguero strikes out a lot, but could potentially be good. It's just there's a lot of question marks with young players. At third base, you got Brian Hayes, who's an amazing defender. He's the first guy in over a decade, to win the Gold Glove in the NL, not named Nolan Arenado. He is an elite defender. He is the next Nolan Arenado who could win 10 straight Gold Gloves. It's just about, can his offense, I don't know, he's already 27. Can his offense pick up? He's a solid hitter, but can he be a great hitter is the question. At shortstop, it's going to be O'Neal Cruz, who I think could disappoint some people. Simply because he strikes out a ton and everyone thinks he's going to be elite. Same thing with Elly De La Cruz. We'll get to him a little later. O'Neal Cruz is going to be good in my opinion. It's just people are expecting him to be a superstar right off the bat, and I don't think so. Yeah, he hits the ball hard. He can crush homers. He's really fast. But it's about, can he do it consistently? Because he strikes out a lot. A lot of the big guys strike out a lot. Brian Reynolds signed an extension a year ago, and he's pretty solid. I think he's going to be a solid hitter, close to an 800 OPS type of guy, and left. Center field, Michael A. Taylor's now projected to be the center fielder, as Sawinski moves. Jack Sawinski, who's a really high walk guy, really high strikeout guy, 3 true outcomes type of guy, but I think he's really good. He hits the ball hard, and he's a great hitter. I think Michael A. Taylor might not be an everyday guy because I like Edward Olivares. He was solid last year in Kansas City. I liked his StatCast numbers that he can continue to do this when given everyday at bats. I think Michael A. Taylor is going to end up being a backup who comes in as a defensive replacement, as Jack Sawinski will be the center fielder. I have them winning 75 games, which would be a -1 from last year as they went 76 and 86. I think they could be a playoff team. I think they can sneak into the playoffs. I think there is a universe where they can win the division. I have their over-under at 77, but Vegas has it at 75.5. 75.5 over-under, I would bet the over.